Hey everyone, it's Chris Gio coming to you from Beyond the Veil. I wanted to do something a little bit different and talk about something that I recently encountered regarding Airbnb. This is really good advice for anybody who's traveling out there. There may be cameras in your Airbnb, and Airbnb may be okay with it. You may have agreed to have cameras in your Airbnb without even knowing that you agreed to that. So I want to talk about that experience right now. We have been traveling over the last couple of weeks and staying in hotels, and we found this house that was just a little more expensive than the hotels that we were staying in. So we decided to go ahead and get the Airbnb. When we arrived, there were several things going on with the hosts themselves. Very shady situation, but the house was really nice. It had a nice pool, it had a spa, several bedrooms, and somewhere really comfortable where we can sit down and go house hunting for the next 2 weeks until we find something permanent. So we start walking around, and Cherie looks at several of the places and notices these devices. And she says, "Hey, what is that?" And the host said, "Oh, those are cameras. I monitor the house so I can know what's going on." And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This is outrageous. Absolutely not. There were a couple of other anomalies with the host herself, but when I heard that, I walked out immediately and called Airbnb. Once I called them and let them know that there were cameras inside of the Airbnb. Now, mind you, we're renting the entire house. We're not just renting a bedroom, but we're renting the entire house. When I called them, they actually told me that it's their policy to allow the hosts to put cameras in the quote-unquote common areas, which include kitchen, it includes living room, several other places like that. I mean, the first big problem where there was cameras outside in the backyard and the pool. If we want to go skinny dipping, we're going to have to do that underneath these cameras. Second of all, having cameras in the quote-unquote common areas in a place that we're renting, it makes no sense because there is no common area in the place that we're renting if we're renting the entire place. Now, again, if we were renting a room and there was a common area like a kitchen or living room or something like that, then I can understand that. And I suspect this is what this policy was initially designed for. However, Airbnb said you better read the fine print. And we went in. You have to click on house rules and you have to scroll down, and once you click on house rules, then you have to click again on something that says additional rules. Once you click on that, that is where supposedly if the host says that there are recording devices in your Airbnb, that's where it's going to be listed. In our particular case, luckily it was not listed. But what the host did after there was this encounter and we walked out of the Airbnb and told them we were going to call Airbnb about this, she went and she changed the listing. But she didn't realize that Airbnb takes a snapshot when you make a reservation, so they were able to see the listing as it was when our reservation was booked. Luckily, it wasn't there, and we were able to get our money back. However, just the policy in and of itself that allows people to put cameras in their Airbnbs is absolutely absurd. I mean, as I said, we're house hunting. So that means that we would be in the living room, talking to real estate agents, talking to our banks, discussing personal financial information, including passwords and things like that we use when we call the bank and things like that. Now all of a sudden all of that is going to be audio recorded. It's going to be video recorded as well. Absolutely not. I don't think so. There was a camera that was pointing at the bathroom as well. If the door to the bathroom wasn't closed, that camera was picking up everything that's in the bathroom. Again, completely and totally unacceptable. But we found a few anomalies with this particular host that kind of triggered everything to begin with, or set everything off that alerted us. That's a good way to put it. That alerted us to begin with. First of all, we have two cats, Sekhmet and Bastet. Many of you here on Beyond the Veil know them. They've been registered as emotional support animals and therapy animals because they emotionally support our ayahuasca experiences. Now, it's not, there goes one right back there. Now, it's not that it's some scam website. We actually had a doctor, legitimate doctor, write a prescription, and the prescription was so cute. It said, "I prescribe to you 1 domestic short hair, Bastet, 1 domestic long hair, Sekhmet." I was like, oh, that's so adorable. But a legitimate doctor wrote these recommendations. So we have certificates. They're certified as, here's one as a matter of fact right here. She's certified as a cuddle kitty and as a therapy cat. So Airbnb has a policy that whether you have pets or not, or whether the host accepts pets or not, they're supposed to allow for service animals, and you don't even have to declare them. But it's good practice, in my opinion, to write the host, let them know, hey, I have a couple of service animals. I have the documentation if you'd like the documentation. So we get to the place, and I messaged her, and she said, oh yeah, it's no problem. You guys have great reviews on Airbnb anyway, so I'm not worried about it at all. We get there, and then she tells us we have to confine them into one room, and we're like, no, they run the house. They're therapy animals. That means that they run around and do their therapy work wherever they feel like they want to. So that was the first instance. And I could see what she was setting it up for. She was setting it up to charge all of these extra cleaning fees afterwards, even though she had already charged us a cleaning fee. She told us that we needed to return the place exactly the way it was. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, then why are we paying a cleaning fee? That's not how this works at all. Obviously, we're not going to trash the place. And if they poop or pee anywhere, then obviously that is a different issue. But just normal wear and tear and use, that's what the cleaning fee is for. So that was the first red flag. Second red flag was she wanted to charge us $35 a day for the pool. And it's like, no, the pool's included in the listing. Very, very clear. So between those three things, between the cameras, the pool, and the cats, Airbnb luckily refunded us. But if you don't go to house rules, and if you don't click on additional rules, you may be agreeing to be recorded inside of your Airbnb, which I never ever would have thought. I thought that this would be illegal to do because there's an expectation of privacy. You have an expectation of privacy in public when you go to the bathroom, something like that. When you rent a house, you have an expectation of privacy within that house or apartment or condo. If you rent a room, you have an expectation of privacy within the room. But a host can't put cameras inside of the living room and hallways and places like that if you're renting out the whole place. Or can they? According to Airbnb, they can. So that's a very, very disturbing fact that I came across, and you can look up their policy. It's right there. And I would urge you, if you're renting from Airbnb, make sure to read the fine print, click on the house rules, click on the additional, even write a message and ask the host themselves, do you have cameras on site? And if they return and say no, and you go over there and you discover cameras, that would be considered a hidden camera. But they can't get around it with this whole, well, it's just in the common area and things like that if it's not disclosed in the listing. But really, you shouldn't rent anything that has hidden cameras or visible cameras in the space that you're renting. It's absolutely absurd. Did you want to jump in?
I can understand having a camera outside, on that's available to the person that's renting it so they can see who might be at the door or something like that. But when you're talking about feeds that are going directly to the landlord or to the host of the property, then you're opening up a whole nother thing. And we were talking about this last night. I believe that Airbnb has gone to the trouble of surely they've hired lawyers that have gone over this, camera thing.
Well, the way it's worded, a host can have cameras in the common areas. That tells me it's for renting a room because you have a common area. Because now you have the area that you're using with the other person, that's a common area. There is no common area if you're renting out the entire place.
Right, exactly. There is no common area. You are not, when you click entire place, that means you reasonably expect to have the entire place to yourself. Therefore no common areas, of the house. So I think they really need to re-examine this whole policy and figure out a way to make people.
No, I agree. I would urge people don't get Airbnbs. My original thinking is I'd rather do business with just regular people, and most of the people on Airbnb are great people. The problem is Airbnb's policy is not. Yeah. Airbnb's policy allows these shit people to do what they're doing, and Cherie brought up a good point. If they catch you on video doing something, having sex, something like that, it could wind up on Pornhub, it can wind up in anywhere like that. And you don't have any recourse because the way the law works, it's not who's being recorded that owns the copyright, it's who's doing the recording. Right. So if you consent to being recorded for anything, you've given your consent, and then they can use that video however they want.
So if you want to have sex in the living room, suddenly you might be on Pornhub. And you have way of taking it
have financial information that you're disclosing, personal information, anything like that, period. It's absolutely absurd.
It's
I
as if
couldn't
every-
believe it. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it when this happened. Luckily, we caught it. We walked away
Yeah.
from it, and we can come back and we can ask each and every one of you to be extra careful. We're just at a hotel right now. It's luckily it's a suite. It's
Yeah.
big enough because we needed some room if we're going to be cooped up for 2 weeks to be comfortable.
Right.
But it's freaking expensive. It's just that's just the way it goes.
It really is.
Airbnb is a much cheaper alternative for sure. However, we know here there's no cameras. So I would say just go with conventional hotels because there's no hotel chain that's going to do that. You have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your hotel room. It doesn't matter. That would be like if we had this hotel room, we've got a little living room right here, and they had a camera in the living room. No, that's not the way it works. That violates law. But for some reason, Airbnb is different. So please be careful with that, and be careful if you get to an Airbnb and the host starts asking you for extra money. That's totally against the Airbnb terms and conditions as well.
Exactly.
And that's what they do. They're just scam artists just looking to scam people. And when we walked out, she thought that she was going to get to keep the money for the 10 days. 10 days.
Yeah.
It was something like $1,300, $1,400, something like that for the 10 days that we were going to stay there. And then I'm sure she was very upset when Airbnb gave us our money back. But we would have been out that money because she decided to put cameras in there, completely invading our privacy.
Right.
No normal human being would walk into a place with cameras in a place where they expect to be private.
Right. Exactly.
So, real quick, on a different note, let's switch it over to something positive here. We've been wanting to do something with Aya for quite some time. Aya is our CBD oil. It's infused with the spirit of Aya, and it's 99% pure. If you haven't checked that out, check that out at ayalife.com, AYAlife.com. Many of you here at BTV have, though, and you're familiar with what Aya Life is. I have been wanting to do a buy one get one free special for quite some time now, but it's just that's really dropping the price point there. But it's something that I just wanted to do because we've been taking so many different steps in our life to improve our lives, and the thing is, my self-improvement all started with that one little change in the morning, which was taking Aya Life. I did that about a year ago. I started working out. I started eating better. I mean, that just brought me back to a place of balance to where now we've completely rearranged our lives. We're out here in a completely different city, and just, we're looking forward to the future, and everything is so positive now, and it's all about positivity. And it was because I've rebalanced myself first and foremost. We want to give that to each and every one of you. And so the buy one, get one free coupon code is BTV Tribe. It's only for the BTV audience out there, and we can only do it until I think it expires on the last day of February at midnight. So make sure you go to ayalife.com, AYAlife.com, and get that.
Definitely. I mean, we're making such huge changes in our lives that we want to give you guys the opportunity to make a big change in yours. And Aya Life definitely has been the catalyst for a lot of change for a lot of people. And
It has.
so
It
that's why
has.
we want to do it buy one get one free, because you're going to need more of it, as you're using it more and more, and you realize the benefits more and more. Your body starts.
Yeah. So ayalife.com. It's only going to be available for the next couple of days. Coupon code is BTV Tribe. And don't forget, when it comes to Airbnb, read the fine print. But you shouldn't even have to read the fine print. I mean, there can't be a fine print that says we have the right to invade your privacy. No. I just don't do business with a company like that.
Yeah.
And go look it up. Go look up the policy for yourself. It's there. It's scary. It's 1984. I mean, even the people at Airbnb, when I talked to him on the phone, he's like, dude, I totally understand. I'm going to do whatever I can for you. And then we called PayPal too, and we were going to dispute the charge, and the guy from PayPal was like, "Are you kidding me? You have cameras in your Airbnb? Dude, here's my extension number. I can't do anything about it right now because it's still in pending status, but call me back tomorrow. I'll make sure you get your money back." People were just appalled at this, but it's the thing. It's the thing that's out there, so be careful. So on that note, kiss the one you love right now. You never know when the last time it's going to be, and we'll see you even further
Beyond the veil.